All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the NAPE-YP Abuja Chapter Podcast. I am Abraham Eradua Alkali, and I'm going to be your moderator for today. So, before we begin this podcast, I'll be inviting someone very, very keen and passionate about building the young professional community in person of Dr. Mariam Shield to give us an opening remark. Good morning, Ma. Good morning, Ma.
Good morning. Let's have more people join in.
Okay.
Let's give them like another 2-3 minutes grace, please. Is that
All
okay?
right. Okay, that's fine, Ma.
Please, can you respond to your message?
All right, Ma.
All right, I think we can start. We can start.
All right, Ma.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Mariam Yahaya Shiru. I'm the Abuja chapter coordinator, NAPE Abuja chapter coordinator. And it's really exciting seeing so many students and let's say young professionals joining us today. Um, our conversation today is centered around building your way around knowing what steps to take to be in the oil and gas sector in the future. And the truth is, conversations like this are exactly why platforms like NAPE-YP exist. We try to connect curiosity with real industry experience and help prepare the next generation for opportunities in the energy sector. One thing I often say is that many university students and young professionals don't fully realize how fascinating the exploration and production side of the oil and gas industry truly is. When people hear oil and gas sector, I'm sure most people like, oil money, you know. But if you want to be part of it, I mean, you should be able to know the steps you should take, you know. And it's not only that, the industry is actually very, very interesting. A lot of discoveries that you have to do, a lot of problem solving. So if you're someone that loves to solve problems, I mean, the sector is good for you. It's somewhere you should be. And being an explorer means constantly asking questions, interpreting the earth, and uncovering possibility. It's truly a very exciting and rewarding career path, I must tell you all. And for everyone listening today, especially our students, I want to encourage you to please listen carefully because in life and in our careers, preparation must meet opportunity. And when you are prepared and you understand what employers really are looking for, it becomes much easier for you to stand out in the midst of so many others. And that makes your journey a lot smoother, a lot more successful, and a lot more seamless. So I would also like to use this opportunity to thank and appreciate our guest today, Mr. Shegun Oko, who we reached out to, and he immediately showed enthusiasm and was happy to make himself available for this conversation. That kind of willingness to support young professionals is something we truly value here in NAPE. And the insights he will be sharing for us today are the kind many people invest heavily to access, except you have friends and family that are actually in the sector that you can ask questions. But I want you to know that this is like giving you gold, or I mean, is it gold on a platter of gold, honestly, and you should all appreciate him. Thank you so much, Mr. Shego, for this very um, um, opportunity you're giving us in the chapter. And we're very grateful for your time, your generosity, and commitment to guiding the next generation. So I encourage everyone that's joined this morning to please listen carefully, take the lesson seriously. If possible, you take notes and make the most out of this opportunity. Thank you very much. Let's get started. I think I'm even more excited than the young generations. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. That was so profound. Thank you so much. I would like to invite the NAPE-YP lead, the national leader for the young professionals, in person of Mr. Oluwaseun Ogundigbe, to give us a short remark as well. Good morning, sir.
All right. Good morning, Abraham. Can you confirm that you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you from my end.
All right. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I want to join the voice of our moderator, the very vibrant Abraham Yaradua Okali, and the NAPE Abuja chapter coordinator, who you just finished listening to, Dr. Miriam Yaya Shiro, and to welcome you all to this live podcast. At the NAPE-YP level, we are very passionate about the employability of our members. And I believe that this live podcast is going to do justice to that. And also to extend my appreciation to the country director of Workforce Energies, who is our speaker for today, Mr. Shegun Oko. And I believe that he's seen from different angles, from different spectrum, and you'll be able to share from his wealth of experience, guided by our vibrant Abraham through this conversation. Welcome, as Dr. Yaya Shira said. I want you all to please bring out your notes, your pen, and then jot down as much as you can, and so that you will be able to put them into practice and make yourself employable, particularly in the oil and gas industry. Thank you so much again to the Abuja chapter NAPE-YP coordinator, Jessica Agu, and your team for also putting this together. It's not been easy, but it's great work that you guys are doing over there. And again, I bring the voice of the national executive of NAPE-YP, which I lead, and to say thank you to everyone that somehow has supported this, but particularly we look forward to a very engaging session. And I'm excited to listen and then to gain more as well. Thank you very much. Over to you, Abraham.
Thank you, sir. And we're excited that you're excited. All right. So today we're going to be breaking down the employability equation. And our guest for today is the country director at Workforce Energies, a subsidiary of Workforce Group. And this is a man whom his leadership capabilities have been tested, trusted, and there are a lot of evidence to show for that. This person is none other than Mr. Shegun Oko. Good morning, sir, and welcome on stage today.
Very good morning. Good morning, Abraham. It's a pleasure to be on the stage to speak. And I know for some people that have encountered me in person, they would have realized that speaking, and especially speaking to young professionals, is something I find as a passion, because I was once in the shoes of young professionals. I'm trying to navigate on how to break into this industry. It's always better to ensure that the next generation stand on your shoulders so that their excellence can be accelerated, because the industry needs that accelerated excellence.
All right, sir. Beyond the brief introduction which I've just given, I believe our guests really want to know who is Mr. Shegun Oko.
Uh, all right. I think please permit me to answer like it's an interview, right? Because this is so that uh, people can start writing down points from the beginning. So first of all, when this question is asked, the best approach is to find a way to turn your CV into a story, right? So now let me give you my story, right? Mr. Shagoko, right? I've been fortunate to be born into a family of upper class civil servants. My dad was was working in NNPC, and my mom in Nigerian Airways, now defunct Nigerian Airways. I'm not sure if a lot of the young professionals now knew that organization, right? And that's what was peculiar about that generation is they always try their hands on business, right? And every time our parents tries their hands on business, we the children were the defunct marketers, right? So from a young age, I was exposed into business development, marketing, and business operations, right? Because every business that starts, we are the first hands of those business, right? From our parents' point perspective, right? And as such, but in my professional career, right, I've been fortunate enough to try myself in the tech space. I started my career in the tech space. Also, I've done a bit of civil service where I was with the Office of Accountant General, and it was very clear to me that that's not a space I wanted to be. And I have I have done non-for-profit where I worked with then the university I was doing my program with to raise funds towards um, targeted goals of the social development goals of of the university, right? So we raise the fund, we look for especially towards youth development. Then look for those projects that we can use the fund that will fund those projects, then supervise the delivery. So it was a one-man NGO kind of set up underneath an NGO. Um, Sorry, please, am I still okay? Yes. And from
Yes, please.
there, I I had so please confirm if I'm still live because it's buffering on my end. If you can still hear me.
Yes, still
Yes.
live, sir.
From there, I threw my hat into the sector full time. So in the sector, I've worked with service organization all my time in the sector. But the beautiful part about service organization is you do the work. You don't get a contractor to do the work. You yourself have to do the work because you are the contractor, right? So as such, hands-on experience was key, and it has helped me grow from and to all the way to the directorship I am today, right? So I hope that helps to introduce who I am and what I've done in the spectrum of my lifetime career life.
It definitely has, sir. And to be honest, from your wealth of experience, which I've heard you speak on so far, I'm 100% convinced that you are the best person to break down the employability equation for our audience today. It's good to have you here, sir. So looking at the employability equation, what actually gets you hired in oil and gas industry? What do you have to say about that, sir?
Okay, so uh, there are a series of things that get you hired,
Yeah.
but it all starts from, I think, from focus.
Yeah.
I've realized from conferences, YPs just uh, approach me and they are asking series of questions, and you hear one single person has done training in HSC, done training in let's say, drilling related trainings, done tech trainings. And in my mind, I'm like, why are you spreading yourself thin when you could just double down on something? If you pick HSC, right, focus, double down on HSC. Look for after your HSC course, look for. Truth of the matter is, most service organizations they don't have, they are understaffed, right? And look for one at which you can engage and build your experience with, because there are two parts into this industry. That's what I always say. There are two parts into the industry: the graduate training parts, right,
Yeah.
which is limited slots, and the experience higher part, where is people come after what you've got, the skills you had, the experience and exposure you had. Right. For the graduate training slot, it's a limited slot, and it's, how I say, it's reserved for the top tier of the top tier.
Yeah.
For us in workforce, we do graduate training for organizations, and we know our job is to ensure that whoever gets to the final level, right, is not just the 90%, but the 99% percentile of the people that joined, right? So there's that, and there are hacks, or there are ways at which you can accelerate any of the parts you want. For example, for the graduate training part, you can't get the graduate training part without having completed your NYC.
Yeah.
And for the graduate training part, you have to be a bit quiet on your experience, because irrespective of the experience you're bringing, from the from the name trainee, it's obvious that they intend to train you, right? So pretty much what is important in that stage is your ability to learn, which is proven about with your experience in learning. That's how have you done? What's your track record in your secondary school, in your university days, right? How were you able to assimilate learning, right? So that's for that part. And because truth of the matter, Nigerians are one of the most intelligent people on the surface of the earth, right?
Yeah.
Everywhere, every nation you go, you see Nigerians contributing, right? So you're bringing in 1,000, 2,000. You have a slot of 60 people. You're bringing in 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 intelligent people. So the job is to ensure that you are trimming it down to your 60, because you can't take everybody. And hence why there'll be testing, various level of testing. So since you know that you're going to go through those tests, for that, if that's the pathway to industry you have chosen for yourself during your NYC days, I would advise you invest your time in acquiring the ability to be able to ace those tests. And those tests are all about speed and accuracy,
Yeah.
right? The essence, the questions are always the claim, right? Or we say that the questions are easy as secondary school, at GSS3 mathematics, right? But it's framed in a way whereby you have to be a professor to figure it out. So your job is to invest the time in learning how you can look at the question and very easily drop down all the big English around it and focus on the real question, answering it, and moving on in 10 to 15 seconds, right? So that you can at least give yourself that advantage. So that would be. But the other pathway is through the experience hire. And the truth of the matter is, the stage at which the industry is at now, um, if you have experience, you are hot cake. Because
Yes. Yes.
what has happened is the fact that people have there been about a 10-year period before PIA was signed that projects were not like how they were, right? People that had experience had to look for opportunities outside this country. Most of them have, like we say, jackpot, right? So the other people that are left are people that have worked in service organization and have gained those experience, because um, they have been able to, most of the EMPs and the likes, for every project they do, uh, their job is to supervise the contractor, pretty much, to do the job, right? So as a contractor, you gain the front hand skills. But if you can't supervise something you do not know, right? So if you do not have the experience before, it's difficult to supervise. If not, if the contractor messes up, you can rarely identify that mess up, right? So what has happened is we've seen situations whereby even EMPs are looking for those experienced hands from the contractors that they could poach into their team to give that um, holistic approach and that first-hand approach to solving those problems. So I think the first place to start is clarity. Double down, pick a skill or a domain and say, okay, I want to become a drill engineer. That's where I think my passion is. I know I've had I'll use mentees and friends, right, that are now working with IOCs and international organizations that when they had made up their mind, they had worked with organizations whereby a month, 2 months, they were not paid, right? But that experience, that exposure, that mud engineering, that drilling experience, I have one that he's now not just an African head, but a sub-Saharan head in one of
Wow.
the big drilling organizations in the world, not just Africa, right? And I knew those period. Yeah, it was frustrating, right? But acquiring those skills, by the time it was time to pivot, seamless. He had those knowledge, he had those skills, so it was very easy. So as young professionals, I would say the first mistake you should not make is spreading yourself thin. Pick a domain, ask yourself, what approach do I want? Do I want to go through graduate training? For graduate training, that means I must be a minimum 2 and above, right? Because now, because of the need for talent, some organizations have dropped it down to 2, and maximum age of 27, right? If you're already going beyond 27, please start focusing on how do I acquire experience, so that you don't now come sit down and keep applying for graduate training, no entry, and time is going. By the time you should be applying for 5 years experience role, you realize you are not even equipped, right? So if you miss that ship, look for experience. So that's my advice.
Oh, Mr. Shegun, that's very focus and clarity and personal development for young professionals will help them go a long way to go down the employability equation. Mr. Shegun, over some time, I've discussed with a few young professionals, and this particular argument keeps coming up. And that brings me back to your discussion on focus. There are young professionals that keep getting certifications, and all that. So I want you to clarify, do you feel like certifications are still an added advantage, or do you think the value has declined compared to, yeah, when you are applying for a job? Do they look at that certification as an advantage because they do not know your technical skill at that particular point? So what's your take on that argument?
So my take on the argument is, like, it's stated in the statement of question itself. Added advantage. It is added, right? It's extra. The main focus is the experience, right? And so let me play a scenario. Uh, the Most often than not, right? If you have the experience, you can get the certification. But the certification without the experience is just paper. So you just have to realize that certification without experience is paper. So no one, if the first thing the recruiter or the client is looking at is, does this person have the experience? And that's what they'll be asking you questions about, right? Okay, and they'll be asking you real life scenario questions because they've been on the field themselves, right? The kind of situation they want you to come and address will be the questions they'll be asking you. So it's not things you have done on paper, it's things you have done in real life, right? So now if you have that, for example, let's say we need a NEBOSH as an extra certificate. right? Certification, which is another advantage. To get a NAPE is quite expensive. Right? You need to have gotten to a level as a professional to even chase after going for a NAPE, because first the cost is going to cost you. If you are a young professional, you do not have the experience, and you have a NAPE, for the roles whereby NAPE is a real advantage for, you cannot even unlock that door. For example, where NAPE is really an advantage is where you are 10 to 15 years in the industry. You're a young professional, you have 2 to 3 years. Your NAPE should unlock that door.
Yes.
When someone is looking for 2 to 3 years, they're looking for an HSC officer, right? They're looking for an HSC officer, looking for a QHSC officer, right? At that point, NAPE is when I was trying to get into this industry. Interestingly, as a young professional, I already had my master's, and I've gone to situations whereby you hear words like you're overqualified for this role. It happens. It happens because for that role, the qualification you carry, or your primary qualification, or what you're putting forward, is higher than what that role requires. It's higher than what that role requires. So what you have to do is either you stoop to conquer, carry the certificate and keep it somewhere, and be ready to. Yes, I have an MSc, but yeah, I'm willing to do a job of a BSc holder at this point, because at the end of the day, I just want to enter into the industry, right? So that's where it is. At the point, those are real added advantage. But for a young professional, there are some level of certifications that you should not be pushing at that point. You should be focused pretty much on the experience, the exposure, because so that by the time you now get to that point, if you have that certificate, it's an added advantage, right? It's just you are certifying something. You are certifying the knowledge you have acquired over the years. That's what you are certifying with that certificate. But when you've not had the hands-on experience, you just have the certificate. Certificate is just a piece of paper. The certificate is just a piece of paper at that point. Yes.
Focus and experience. Thank you so much, Mr. Shego. I would also want you to speak on soft skills, because a lot of young professionals these days, I'm sure you must have come across a lot of them. They are quite big on technical skills, but they are forgetting that beyond technical skills, we also have something else that keeps you in the industry. So, what soft skills would you advise young professionals to majorly work on?
I think first things first, for a young professional trying to break into this industry, there's this perception that this industry is kind of like a cult, right?
Yeah,
There's that perception. So if the first strategy you should have is the first soft skill you should acquire is networking. Yeah, if it's like a cult, then that means you need to know somebody to bring you in. Right, that's how cult works. Everyone has to. So as such, your number one primary skill you should focus on is networking. Then under networking, one, communication skills.
Yeah.
Right? You can, irrespective of how good your technical skill is, if you cannot sell it, if you cannot communicate it, people will doubt it. You have a first class and you cannot talk about the process of something, people will doubt your first class. Even if you know it offhand and you have it very well in your head, you can't communicate it. People will doubt it, especially in Nigeria where people believe you can buy certificates. All right, so
yes.
whatever you're doing, all you're getting, get communication. Get communication, right? You have to be able to address issue clearly, state your, then it's a highly demanding industry. So I would say emotional intelligence is a highly demanding industry. The kind of job that has to be done is a very physically demanding job. So something that happens is when you are stretched physically, your emotions tend to go overboard, right?
Yes. True.
And it's the job of whenever situation you find yourself, it's the job of the person beneath to manage the relationship with the person above.
That's
The
true.
job of the person above is to drive your performance. It does not have to be your friend. It does not have to like you. His job is to drive your performance, right? It is your job to get him to like you because that's an added advantage. You get the main goal is you have to perform. The him
That's
liking
true.
you is an added advantage, right? When he likes you, it's easy for him to keep giving you those juicy road that will make you shine. And once you are
Yeah.
shining, you become the focus of management, right? So your job is to
Yeah.
manage that relationship, get him to like you, but his primary goal is to get you to perform. So while you focus on performance, you need to have the emotional intelligence to be able to manage your upliners. You need to have that emotional intelligence. And that emotional intelligence boils down to how you network,
Yes.
right? Because your kind of approach, you can't see someone, you already know he's working, the way he's working, he's going somewhere, he's dedicated, there's something on his mind, and that's the period you want to engage. There's likelihood he's going to find a way to say, oh, don't worry, and he's just going to sugarcoat it just to escape you. Right? So you need to have that emotional intelligence to be able to read the room, read the conversation, contribute. Then your contribution boils down to communication. You can communicate well. You know, there's a way you drop your contribution in a way, and everybody looks at, yeah, that's true. This person, and the more people nod their head. In workforce, we call it head nodding contribution. Right? Get people to say, yeah, that's true. Like they nod their head to acknowledge that no, what this person has contributed here makes sense. Right? Your job is not to, if you don't have a head nodding contribution, please don't contribute. Don't contribute and let people look at you and like,
Looking like
yeah,
what you
and
said
all
is
of a sudden they want to back you. Yeah, do you know there are scenarios where a group is talking and yeah, you're new to that group and you say something and everybody else obviously believes that. It's like quietly the body language, you can see that they are trying to back you out of their conversations. Yeah, so you have to do your communication. So if you have your networking right, communication on point, and your emotional intelligence, if you marry those ones with your technical capability, you will rise fast in the industry.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shegu. I'm really, really learning a lot, and I hope our audience as well are catching up with these valuable insights. So I want to bring it to, and if you can just give, a lot of young professionals are like, I went for this interview, I know I nailed it, but they don't call me back, this, that. So what do you think are common mistakes that, young professionals make during interviews or when applying for a job?
I think the first mistake a lot of professionals make when applying for a job is to believe that all jobs are the same because they are the same job title. They are not the same. They might be the same role, but they are not the same. Um, so there's this concept that was created by Coca-Cola, by McDonald's, not Coca-Cola, right? It's called the job to be done, right? So what happened is McDonald's realized that of their menu, right, there was a particular, I think it was their chicken nugget, always sells best in the mornings. So, but in the afternoon, it does not sell. In the evening, it doesn't sell much, right? So it was, and that was their best selling on a particular route. There was a particular McDonald's in Texas that sold. It was the best performing every year. The best performing. Why was it the best performing? Because they had the chicken nuggets. Oddly, when they believe it's their Big Mac that should be the best selling, was the best selling product. And okay, they dug deep and they realized that it sold most in the morning. So what this chicken nugget sells in the morning is enough to drive the performance and make the that particular McDonald's, the best performing McDonald's in the state.
Yeah.
So there must be something really, and every other place is not selling as much, right? Irrespective of their campaign, everything is not selling as much. So they decided to, okay, so what's the job to be done? What is it that is making this thing sell that much in the morning? So they decided to do a survey. And in the process of the survey, they realized that now, when people are going through, that McDonald's is at the edge of a particular town. This town is a more like a suburb where people live. There are rarely jobs in that town. And the next town that has the industries and the likes was about 2 hours away. So guess what? Apparently, the size of that particular park is enough for people when they're going to work in the morning, they come, they buy it, and they eat it on their drive to work. Now imagine if you have, okay, McDonald's and the chicken nuggets, you now go to a town whereby it's just a 10 minutes drive to work. It's not going to sell because that's not the main value proposition that thing was addressing, was the long journey, right?
Yes.
So guess what they did? They replicate it in everywhere where they realize that, oh, there's a suburb and there is an industry more than in an hour away. And before you know, the chicken nugget blew as a product, that a flagship product for McDonald's, because they identified the job to be done. And that's what every young professional, ask yourself, right? Now, look through this and try to get a sense of it. For me, right, what I always like to do is, maybe I go and research the organization and see where, if it's a job site on LinkedIn where I can even get the recruiter, I would ask the recruiter, why the role and why now? Because that will help you answer, because nothing beats when your CV meets what it's looking for. Truth be told, your CV is a script. Please get it behind your mind as a young professional. Your CV is a script. The job of your CV is, it should be intriguing enough to get them to want to talk to you. So be bold on your CV, right? In a way whereby, let them look at it and say, this, as a young professional, this guy has done this. Let's talk to him. Let's know. So they can query you on those things. Then the next thing is, now at the interview, one of the biggest mistakes young professionals make is they don't sell themselves enough in that first question. That first question you ask me of, can we meet you? Or tell us about yourself. They don't sell themselves enough. So the first thing you should do, one, turn your CV to a story. All right? Make it like a story. All right? Whereby people can see your progression, can see the value you added over the years, and at the same time, they can now picture you adding that value to them.
Yes.
So when you are explaining, oh, who am I? So there's no bother, right? Telling them what doesn't fit. When you know the job to be done and what they're interested in. For example, if you're a drilling engineer and you realize that, yeah, even though they are looking for a drilling engineer, what they are really interested in is a drilling engineer that can do a particular kind of drilling. When you are explaining yourself and telling them about who you are, you find a way to put your exposure to that particular kind of drilling to their face. Because, first, let me break it down to you. The reason why you are there for their interview is because they've seen something on your CV that they really want to question you about.
Yes, sir.
There's something that is interesting to them that they've seen that they want to ask you questions about. I, for one, I think the best approach to your CV writing is, let your CV be an achievement-based CV. I think the best people that do this are engineers, right? You see engineers, they'll put, I worked in this particular company as a senior engineer. Then they'll start giving you the projects they worked on and what they did on those projects, right? So it's clear for you to see what they've achieved and what they've done over the years, right? If If it were just a generic question, when you like, oh, I worked on this person, senior engineer, they'll just carry the job role and put it there in their CV, right? And they lose the
Yes.
opportunity of showcasing the amount of projects they have impacted on over the years they've been working. Right? So put the achievements in a way whereby now, when the interviewer sees that, there's question. You never know, maybe one of those projects you wrote, one of the hiring managers have worked on that project.
Yes.
So that might just be the reason why he wants to see you, because while he was working on the project, your name never came up because you were a junior engineer, right? He was interacting with the senior engineers, so your name never came up. So it gives you the opportunity to say, oh, on this project, what did you do? Then you can explain on how you supported the people at which to him shine, the people at which gave impact, right? So you need to carry your CV, turn it to a story, ensure you touch on all those points that you have in your CV, so that by the time they want to query you, it's softball questions. You set up the pace that now you are relaxed. And even when they want to ask you questions, they said, we know you mentioned it while you were introducing yourself. Do you understand, right? So they've acknowledged the fact that, oh, you've already answered this question, but right now so now you are relaxed to answer those questions. You are relaxed to just add additional information. It gives the opportunity for you to even turn the table around. Oh, when it's now okay, you cannot be the one to ask him the question back and say, so what specifically do you want me to talk about? Since you've already said and spoken about it, right? So what extra do you want me to speak about? Then he can give you the answer. The moment he tells you what he wants you to speak about, they're giving you the answer already.
Yes.
Right? So when that question, even if it means you spend 15 minutes of your 30 minutes interview on that question alone, right? That question dictates the rest of the interview. So focus, ensure that you have that healed, sold, complete, right? To create that, to make the rest of the interview just a walk in the park for you.
Mr. Shegun, once again, I must commend the way you are really breaking down this equation. I'm really excited. And I trust our audience are also excited as well. And if you are just joining now, trust me, you have actually missed a lot. Not to worry, not to worry. Mr. Shegun, while you were talking on this last point, you mentioned CV. And that now brings me to another question. I really would love if you would help our audience, our young professionals, to differentiate between what a CV is and what a resume is. Because I believe, I don't really know what's, can you help us clear there?
I think most often than not, even in Nigeria, when they do the advert, right? Then you now talk to the recruiter. They always, because people feel like they are interchangeable, right? Which
Yes.
in some context they are. For a young professional, they should be, right? For a young professional, they should be, because we don't expect your experience should go beyond 2 page at this point. Because for a young professional, you are between 0 to at maximum 4 years. Because from the moment you got it to 5 years, right, in the industry, yes, you might be young at heart, right? But 5 years experience, you can pivot to any organization you want as an experienced hire because you've done the job for 5 years, right? So you've seen scenarios already for 5 years, right? So for a young professional, um, so the number one thing you should understand is the cardinal difference between a CV and a resume. See, number one is your CV. Life writes your CV for you, right?
Okay.
Your CV has your entire and life experience. That's your CV. For example, like me, my CV includes my life in the public service, my life in tech, my life in NGO, right?
Yeah.
Those because that's the summary of what I've done over the years, right? However, your resume should maximum not be more than two um, 2 pages. So you are focusing primarily on what matters most.
Yeah.
So for your resume, So your resume cannot be the same thing for every job. Because
Okay.
what matters most for every recruiter is different. For every job role is different. For every client recruiting is different, right? So your resume has to be tailored. If you know it's already beyond 2 pages, right? Anything that you think is not going to sell your cause for that particular role, remove it. Because most often than not, um, you see adverts and they say kindly send your CV. Then you now see recruiters complaining and said, oh, that they don't want, most often than not, they don't have time to go through more than 2 pages. That tells you that most times they are asking for resume, not your CV.
Yes, yes.
So by default, that means when you're applying, by default, get your resume. For example, now you are applying for experience as a drill engineer. But while you're doing drill engineering, because you're working for a service organization, they expose you to accounting, they expose you to business development, right? If you're sending in your resume, they don't care about your business development exposure. So please just be quiet and silent, or remove it outrightly out of your job, out of what you've done or the achievements you've made. Right. So rather than saying something like, oh, I was a sales engineer and I closed XYZ deal, right? For a drilling job, no, that does not matter. It's about the PSI of the mud you've worked with, the kind of technicality of some field you have worked on, right? You get the salinity and etc and all the technical jargons that is possible, right? That's what you should showcase. That's what you should showcase in in your resume for that job, for that role, right? So I
Yes.
think so by default, get your resume ready. Ensure no, but most often than not for executive hire, there's a level, and for you to be that's like 20 years and above.
Okay.
You have worked for 20 years. At that point, people when you can send in a CV, because 20 years of experience, you can't to compress 20 years into 2 pages. It's a lot, right?
It's
So you
difficult.
understand,
Yes.
and most often than not, for that role, they are headhunted. So the
Yes.
recruiter is coming after you directly. The recruiter will value you, would not want to waste your time. So when you share, the recruiter himself will take his time to go through, highlight it, and send it to his client to say, oh, for this CEO role, this guy has done 20 years. He has achieved this XYZ. Yes, even though, yeah, you are technical, you've sold, right? It shows then you can just suppose your sales exposure, because now you're trying to get into an executive, a managerial, a big role, right? Whereby you're not just going to be, you're going to be managing the profit and loss of of your team to ensure that your projects, everything are profitable, right? As
Yes.
such, yes, with your technical role, you add your sales, your finance, whatever additional thing, because at that point, but for a young professional, focus on your resume. What matters to the role you're applying for, right? Because that's where value can be sold. Because as a young
Yes.
professional, of course, your name has not been established. So the moment you're at disadvantage, the moment you're already beyond 2 or 3 pages. And at your,
Yes.
the higher you go, it's a pyramid. The fewer the
Well,
people.
yes. Yes.
Interesting.
That's
At your level, there are a lot of people, right?
that's
So let
very
me be
true.
focused. Let me meet everything the recruiter is looking for. And interestingly, now recruiters don't even waste time. They have what they call ATS. So it's computer that will save it. So ensure your resume is apt. It hits everything the job description wants, right? The way the keywords, the buzzwords are replicated in your resume, right? And as such, you give yourself an advantage.
All right. Thank you very much, sir, for that insight. I must say it's really, really valuable and profound. And this topic is a very, very interesting topic. And I just got some messages right now that there has been a lot of questions from young professionals on the various platforms we are streaming from. So, if you don't mind, I would like to read a few of them a couple of them that I've received so that you help us answer them at least in like 15 minutes, and then we should be coming to the end of this podcast.
All right, that's fine. That's fine.
All right, sir. Okay, so this person is asking, you have answered this, but I think I should go to the next. This one is asking, how does one 10x his growth? That he started learning data analytics and Python for geosciences. Now I'm thinking whether I should focus on the skill. I don't know if you got the question.
Yes. So,
Okay.
Okay. So can I answer? Is that
Yes,
the end of the question? All right.
That's the end
So
of
I
it.
think first of all, what I'll tell the person is, whatever evil spirit is trying to make you pivot, please just die it. Just focus, right? And first things first. If you were with me in person, I would have asked you some series of questions, some diagnostic questions, which is, why do you want to pivot at this point? Why do you want to now change after you invested time and I believe money on this part? Why do you want to change? Truth of the matter is, there are opportunities in the industry for the gap. First off, Dangote, the whale Dangote has come is a very hungry whale. The mouth is open. We don't. He wants to push to producing 1,500 barrels per day. All right, that's what he wants to be consuming. And as a country, at the present, we are producing 1,006. And of this 1,006, we have sold 1,002 already under the previous government. Can you see that either we like it or not, the industry must expand for Nigeria to survive? Right, because now more than ever, the Iran war has shown our exposure. You've seen now, I've heard the NAPE-YP has increased to about over 1,000 per barrel. Right, so either we like it or not, we must give Dangote as much as possible, so to reduce our exposure to the international market.
Yes, sir.
So Tinubu has already mandated everybody to be looking at the possibility of pushing to 3,000 barrels per day production. And if that's the goal, we need additional capabilities. So whatever role or whatever career path you have chosen by yourself, now is not a time to be distracted. Now is a time to be focused. Because the market or the industry must expand, either you like it or not. That's why we're looking at the NCDMB dedicating resources to training for some particular set of skills. That's why you're looking at what they call it, PTD has just reached out to us to do a skill gap analysis of the industry, to look for where are the skill gaps so that they can invest in training more people to fill in those skill gaps. And you've spent money to train yourself. Now is not a time to start looking at another set of training. Now is a time to, if you can, I think in Abuja, right, for NAIS, someone came to our stand and spoke to me about this same issue. The person has done HR training, done HSC training. The person is a technical person from the BSc they have. And I was like, just focus. And I told him that now the industry is expanding. Do you know what you should do for yourself? In this conference, there are a lot of service organizations. I bet you, whatever career path you choose now standing in front of me, look for one of those organizations that do that kind of service. Pitch yourself and tell them you are willing to work, and you see you get open for interviews. And she went, and before that day was over, she came back to me to tell me that she already had 2 or 3 people that said after the conference they will talk to her. And I'm like, you see, it was just focus. It wasn't time for distraction, because I know that at the moment we have a lot of role we are trying to recruit for, right? That's the reason why the organization reached out to us, because they could not fill the role themselves. And the reason why they could not fill the role themselves because the talent are scarce. So they are coming to us. We know we go out there, and it's only if we are going to put from another client, which is not good for our business and our reputation, to give you a new client, right? So I will tell you, focus. What should be your approach? Itemize the organization you would like to work with. Okay, now you've studied your sciences. What are the organizations that offer this in in Nigeria? Get 20 or 30. Go to their website. If it's something they can send CVs, send CV on their website. They might not call you. Now it's your job to now track them, chase them down. Whatever conference you see that they are going to be exhibiting in, come as a visitor. Your job is your CV at hand. You have what you know up here, right?
Yes.
Your communication is key. You can sell it and sell yourself clearly. I guarantee it works because I've advised people and it have worked for them, right? So I know it works.
Yes.
So do it. Don't pivot at this point. This is not, let's say 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you can be looking at, because there were no projects, there was no reason to expand, the industry was limited. But now the industry is expanding by fire or by force, it must expand. So yes, it's time to hold on to whatever you have in your hand, hold on to it and double down.
So niche down and focus. So the next question I'll be taking is, what do you bring to the table? How do I go about this question?
What do you bring to the table?
Yes,
first
sir.
of all, what does the table want? Right? For example, if you're in front of a Muslim brother, right? Now I know it's some Ramadan, but let's say on a good day, right? It's not Ramadan. They want to feast. You will not bring pork, right? It's not about bringing something to the table, right? It's about what does the table, right? You won't bring pork. If you have brought pork to a Muslim table, you know they won't eat the pork, right? It's even counterproductive to you. So first of all, that's why you need to know the job to be done. Why do they need this role, right? That makes you know what the kind of thing they need on the table.
Yeah.
Then what do you bring to the table? Pretty much is one of the simplest questions. It's just, how well do you fit this table? Why should I pull a seat for you to sit down on my table? All right. And
Yes, sir.
interestingly, let me just play like on a regular feast, or you and your friend go out to a party. That question is pretty much, why should I invite you for my birthday party? All right. So as a friend, number one, maybe I know if I invite you, there are some people I will invite because I know for them coming to my birthday party, they'll bring a gift.
Yes.
Right? There are some people I know that just by inviting them, even if they don't show up or they show up, they'll pay something. They'll send money in advance, right? And say, oh, for your birthday, take 50K, take 100K. So that's the reason why I'm inviting them in the first place, because I can plan knowing that money will come from them that I'll use to even execute this stuff that I want to do. There are some people I'm inviting because they are the life of the party. Right? When they are there, they will ensure that my party or my dinner is lively. People will go with a memorable impression of that dinner. Right? There are some friends you invite for those purposes. You know that they don't have money to give you. You know they don't have gifts, right? But if they are there, they'll make everybody laugh. So the question is, what does the table need, right? And what can you offer the table based on what it needs? So if it's something that the table does not need, and you're offering that, is counterproductive. So before you answer the question, you need to understand what the table needs. Then the moment you understand what the table needs, then it's easy to answer the question of what I bring to the table, right? What you could bring could be your technical experience. If that's what you sold all night, you use that question to double down on it and say, oh, my exposure because of the kind of exposure I've had as a YP with the organization I've had, they've thrown me down to experiences that other YPs I can bet do not really have. Other YP will be pretty much in the lab, but me, they've sent me to the field. I've dealt with blowout, I've done this. So because of those kind of experience, right, is an advantage for me. What I'm bringing to the table is because at the end of my experience, I've also gone to certify myself. So with me, you don't have to now recertify me, whereby whoever you want to, or any other person that have similar experience, you might not have to now send them for the certification, right? That's where you can bring in your added advantages. Right? With me, oh, I have also done extra, any form of added advantage you believe you have that can help you perform on that role that is the question you use to, that's the answer for that question, right? Any additional advantage you have, that's what you bring to the, that's the extra thing you bring to the table. It could even be your soft skills. What do you bring to the table? With me, I'm someone that if you give me a task, you can rest easy. So what I bring to the table is, as your downliner, I will give you peace of mind because you can trust me to drop the task and I will execute over 70%. You just come and make it perfect. Which boss would not want that kind of downliner that will take most of the burden off my shoulders, right? That's what I say is one of the easiest questions, but you just have to understand what the table needs. So you don't bring pork to a Muslim table.
Everyone wants reliability, and that's one key thing you also have to put out there. That's what I've picked from this. And so this is the last one I'll be taking from the comment section. So I don't know if it comes up as a question, but the person said, I'm reading verbatim now. Sir, we need you to share your own experience on how you got to your current stage in this current state of Nigeria.
Okay. So I don't know. I think that boils down to almost walking you through my CV, right? So with the so how did I get here? And I think I'm pretty much in my 30s, my mid 30s, and I've been blessed to be a director in a big conglomerate, a big group that also has Africa and global footprints. So how have I gotten here? First of all, I realized, okay, as a young professional, let me start. I tried my hands with tech. I worked for a tech company. I left there because I went to study. I got back, I worked with, it was more like, and that's what you can do in your 20s. If you are lucky enough to finish school early and you have between the age of 20, let's say 22 to 25, right? You can try what I tried, which is at that point, yes, you can try, and you are looking for passion.
Yes.
Right? So you try, oh, I'm not happy here, I'm not satisfied here, you move, right? That was what I did early. But then I went for an interview. And yeah, right from time, my CV has always been achievement based, like I said. So if you carry my CV as a recruiter, you will always want to talk to me because you see what I have achieved everywhere I've worked with. Either you will not believe I achieved that, or you'll be like, oh, how did he achieve it? But because of those achievements, you always want to talk to me. Yes. Right? So but I got there and I realized that for a role, I've spent almost 4 to 5 years in the market. And I was applying for a role in what I presently did. And the hiring manager looked at me and said, from my CV, I've only done 2 years. And then it dawned on me, I've been jumping around all this while, right? I'm focusing on something. Hence why I'm telling young professionals, don't make that mistake. Whatever chart you ask yourself, what does it take to succeed and get to the top in this, and focus on that. Because every year is counting. Every year you used to play around is counting. So that it's not when it's time for 5 years, you now realize you only have one, you only have two. So on that point, it was clear. I have to focus. And I decided to focus. But the advantage is, even though I'm focusing on this, you can't say take away the additional 2 years in other spheres I've had. So my approach has always been, what does the table need? Right, like I've explained in the previous question. So every organization I joined, because I learned from the first place I ever worked is differentiation. How do I differentiate myself from the rest? And unfortunately for me, every organization I joined has been an organization of high flyers. So you have to really bring something different that the table might not even know they need, right? So you have to identify that something the table needs, but that's not for interview. Now this is for the job doing, right? Executing the job. Something the table needs, but they do not know they need. It's Steve Jobs kind of approach. Thank God I started with tech, right? So that's the Steve Jobs approach. Something the customer does not think they need yet. And the truth of the matter, if you can find that and address it, you become extra valuable. Now, when I find it, address it, it becomes a flagship on my CV as an achievement.
Yes.
So when next I'm going to the next place, right? And if I want to talk to you through my CV, and I'm talking about those achievements. So I know one of the reasons why you're calling me for the interview first is because of those achievements. So when I'm speaking through those achievements, so that you can now ask me, okay, how did you achieve it? I did it anyway, so I can tell you from my sleep how I did it. So I will walk you through. So it's easy for me to answer. So and I've explained the skills I have that I believe if you have, it works. You would succeed. I have there's a professional. She's a professional now. I knew her from one of the organizations I worked. Let me digress for myself. And she reached out to me and said, oh, now she wants to pivot. She's frustrated. Then I told her that, okay, first of all, we need to sign an agreement. I'll become your career coach. And she said, all right, okay, yes, you become, because I want to move into career coaching now for free. I want to be on, all right? So I said, okay. And she agreed. And I said, all right. So the first thing is, I told her, same way I've said here, itemize all the organization you want to work with. They itemize it them for me. I said, go on LinkedIn anywhere, get all their head of HR. She got the other head of HR. I said, if you're a professional, so you could be able to spare some money. Make yourself premium LinkedIn. She did. I said, send in message to all of them. The top 10, send in message to all of them. She did. Some bits, some side engagement we had. She took them. I said, now don't approach them like you need a job. Approach them like you want them to mentor you.
Yes.
So yeah, she approached them for mentorship. Next thing, networking. I told her there was a program, because we run programs where we bring in HR people. She's an HR person, right? So I said, top head of HR, out of your 10 organizations, 4 of them will be coming. So you must come for my program. So she came for my program. Then I said, as you are here, just give me 2 of them. I will introduce. That's all I can do. I introduced her to 2 of them. And lo and behold, on Friday, she just did the final interview for one of the organizations, for those 2 of them, right? It works. If communication is there, if networking is there, right?
Yeah.
If emotional intelligence is there, it works. As long as you've done those jobs, you have that technical backing behind it, it works. So I'm not here to faff. I'm just telling you what has worked, and if adopted, it's good. You can achieve whatever your career goals are.
Mr. Shegun, thank you so much. My young professionals, I hope you are listening. Don't go and put something on your CV that you cannot defend. Make sure you put what is true and valuable. And Mr. Shegun, I'll be jumping on your career coaching offer, which you just made now. I'll be reaching out to you concerning that. So sorry, I know I said that one was the last, but the comment section has been bombing so much because people are really interested in what you have been saying. So I'll just take this last one. They've been pleading with me to take this last one.
Please,
So
can I interrupt? If this is not something that will shut out, I think
yes, sir.
maybe if we can, so we can take more questions if we can, because it's about impact. I really want the impact to be felt. I want, because it's always interesting. I think I did I spoke at SP in Port Harcourt last year, and it's interesting. People took those things, and by the time we were doing nights that same last year, people had come to me to say, "Oh, you spoke at SP. I took XYZ. Now I'm working here." So it gives me joy, right? So if we can push it to, let's give ourselves to like, um, let's say 12:30. So if there's anything
Okay,
that can enter before 12:30, then that will be fine.
no problem. So that will work. That should work. So this person is asking, sir, for fresh graduates who are already above the graduate trainee age limit, but still want to enter the oil and gas industry, what practical steps can they take to gain the experience?
I think I've answered this in the course of my discussion, but let me just put it in keywords so we can take another question. What first of all, pick whatever you want to do, right? Okay, I want to be a geoscientist. Graduate trainee, you've passed that age, so now chase experience. How do you chase experience? Get your CV, itemize the companies you like that can employ those kind of roles, that those roles are of value to, then find a way to network with people within those companies, right? So come for events. Don't come for events like any other person coming for events. Come for events with a focus on getting an interview. So that is, you are going to those what do you call them? Those exhibitors, pretty to pitch yourself, right? So pretty much to pitch yourself. So you have to get your communication clear. If it means before you go that morning, you've repeated how you introduce yourself over and over to each of these organizations. It will be good to have organizational context for those organizations at which, so that you can tweak your pitch to them based on their context, right? I know if you do, there are opportunities. See, those organizations, first of all, they know that you are fresh. Um, you'll be cheaper. They will be willing to give you those opportunities. And when those opportunities come in, right, your job is, please, you know you're at a disadvantage. At this time is not time to be looking at um, the financials, because I will tell you the truth, service organization will not give you those financials. At this time, it's time to focus on the experience. Because if you have that experience, you can pivot, double, quadruple times whatever that financials is at this point. I know if
All
you
right, thank
bring professionals into the space, they will tell you that if they tell you their first salary, if I tell you my first salary to what I'm earning now, my first salary was about 70,000 naira. Then, right? In the industry, first exposure to the industry was 70,000 naira. A friend of mine that even pivoted faster than I did, he pivoted into an EMP faster than, now he's in Canada, right? His first salary was about 80,000. And when he pivoted after 2 years to an EMP, he was earning close to like then about 1.8 as his take home. That's aside his extra benefits. So that is it. The job is right now is not, don't focus on financials at the moment, just focus on the experience. In all you're getting, get experience, because with experience, then you can pivot as you will.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for the question.
Yeah.
So this person is asking on job test. His question is, how well and often do oil and gas companies drill their candidates, especially for graduate trainee, and what do we expect for each stages test?
first of all, there's no graduate training without tests.
Yes.
It's just like it's just almost as if there's no university without JAM and post-UTME, right? So it's same thing. There's no graduate training without tests. Yes, so that's why in the beginning when I was talking about the two routes to market, I told you if you pick graduate training, if you are still doing your NYC, spend this 1 year building your speed and accuracy, right? If you can, all those centers whereby they train people to write GRE, GMAT,
Yeah.
go pay, go and learn, right? The essence is you learn those tricks that will help you increase your speed of answering those questions, right? So
Yeah.
just if graduate training is your drink, sleep, eat, aptitude test. Don't wait till they send you invite for a 2 weeks time. You can never, if you look at those tests, the amount of hours they tell you have to put in to gain mastery, you can't put that amount of hours in 2 weeks. So you're already at disadvantage if you're waiting for 2 weeks. Or else you're a genius, which I can't doubt. Yeah, there are some geniuses out there that knows how to. And the hack is if you have just 2 weeks, don't disturb yourself learning how. Go and disturb yourself on the tricks. Just go and start googling what are the tricks for answering aptitude tests and master the tricks so that when you see the question, you can just deploy the trick and God help you. Let me say that God help you because you didn't put in the work, so God help you. Right. So that's it.
Thank you so very much, sir. We've come to the end of the Q&A session, and I must say this has been truly insightful and very, very valuable. And with the end of the Q&A, this also brings us to the end of our podcast. But before you go, I would like to call on the NAPE-YP Abuja chapter um, coordinator to just give a closing remark and appreciate you for your time, sir.
All right. Thanks so much.
So, good afternoon, ma. Okay. If you are speaking, your mic is muted, ma.
Okay, I might.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much for your time. I just saw a message now. She's having network issues, seriously. So I would just like to use this opportunity to say thank you. This has been very, very insightful, to be honest. From your talk on focus and clarity as a young professional, and also not focusing on financials, but looking to gain the experience that are applicable in the industry, and also putting yourself out there. Tell your CV like a story. This has been truly insightful, and I'm very sure our audience have already gained a lot from the way I saw the comment section just blasting. This is a testament that you actually did a very, 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 very good breakdown of the employability equation. And I'm sure at the end of this live stream that a lot of people will reach out to you to let you know that your equation helped them to solve the unemployment issue and they have gotten into the oil and gas. So, Mr. Shegun, I really, really appreciate you. And on behalf of NAPE-YP Abuja chapter and NAPE as a whole, would like to say thank you very much for your time. And we hope we can do this with you again very soon. So, thank you, sir.
Um, I think I'm open to as long as my schedule permits. So thank you so much. It's an honor. I think the biggest thing out of this is impact. So please,
Yes.
if you're on this call and it works, please even you can follow me on LinkedIn and just when it works or when it gets to you, when the TV finally gets you to those interviews, you can reach out and say, "Oh, sir, it worked," or "Sir, this is the stage where I'm at, and I'm always ever ready to help." Thank you so much. I'm grateful for the opportunity. Cheers.
Sir, before you leave, I just got a message. She's on. She'd like to say something. Miss Jessica, you're on.
Good afternoon. Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, Mr. Shegu. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me. I was having a bit of a network issue. I just want to say a very big thank you for your time. Thank you for putting us in. Hope we can do a part 2 of this again with you soon. Thank you very much, sir.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, I'm open to the part 2. Yes, we'll just align on the time. As long as it fits my schedule, it fits your calendar, then yes. So thank you so much. Yes.
All right, my people, this brings us to the end of this podcast, and I'm sure you guys were able to get valuable insights. See you on the next NAPE technical session. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you.